Hey, hey, beautiful and brilliant mamas. Welcome back to For Black Mompreneurs, the podcast where we hold space for Black women who are mothers and entrepreneurs, unapologetically chasing purpose and prosperity. I'm your host, Femi Lewis, and today we're digging into something that stops a lot of us before we even get started, and that's analysis paralysis. If you've ever been stuck in your head researching every possible strategy and haven't moved forward, or if you've delayed launching that course that you know will help your business really blossom, or you haven't hired a virtual assistant because you feel like you can't make a choice about who would do your job better, or even just posting a very simple Instagram post, this episode is for you. In this episode, we will define analysis paralysis, why it is important that we as Black mompreneurs actively work to overcome this pesky feeling, and finally, how to break free from perfectionism so that we can move forward with clarity and confidence so that we can run our businesses and live our lives with purpose. Imagine you've set aside some time to create and schedule social media posts. You open Canva, ready to design those posts for Instagram, and 2 hours later, you've got 17 ideas, but not one post completed, and now you've got a headache and you don't know where to start. This, my friends, is analysis paralysis in action. Let's just unpack the definition. Analysis paralysis is when we fear making the wrong decision, that we make no decision at all. And this happens when we've overwhelmed ourselves with options, right? We're focused on doing research, we're weighing our pros and our cons, or considering all of the possible moves we can make. And then with all of our options that we've made available to ourselves, we become completely paralyzed and we make no decision at all. But here's the thing. It's really not just about decision making. I mean, if you think about it, researchers have found that we make about 35,000 decisions every single day. Not 3,500, 35,000. So think about that. From you deciding which eye you're going to open first when you wake up, to deciding if you'll wear a satin bonnet to bed. And in between, we are choosing to turn left or right while driving. We're deciding if we're going to order some food in or we'll whip up something really quickly. We're thinking about how much help we're going to provide our kids during homework time. It's not about those type of decisions. It's the type of decisions that need to be made. It's the big ones. Our careers. We're entrepreneurs. We're not in a traditional space. Our finances. Nobody is going to save an entrepreneur but themselves. So we constantly think about those things. And then we've got family and our relationships. These are things that we as Black mompreneurs are always managing. And so we're always going to have to labor over ideas, right? Because making decisions in any of these areas are going to have a serious impact on our lives and our families. So it's understandable that we won't want to labor over our decisions. But here's why it's so crucial for Black mompreneurs to tackle this head on. We're already juggling a lot. We're raising these children, we're running these businesses, we're managing our households, and let's be really real, we're navigating a society that we know is not always designed to help us thrive. And so sometimes we're thinking about how we can help ourselves thrive against adversity and we overwhelm ourselves. But here's what I want you to remember. Analysis paralysis slows us down in a world that already has demands and that we have to move quickly just to be seen. Analysis paralysis, it steals our time, it drains our energy, and it robs us of momentum. And let me tell you something that I've realized about entrepreneurship. Momentum is everything. So every time we hesitate, we delay, we overthink, we give more fear necessary, right? We give fear more room to speak. and we're giving faith less room to grow, we're not allowing our visions to become a reality. And quite frankly, sis, your vision is too important to be held hostage by indecision. With that said, we also know how difficult it can be to make decisions with confidence. So I'm going to share with you 5 tips to conquering analysis paralysis because I want us all to win in big ways. I don't want you to be perpetually scrolling on Instagram and seeing other people win because they put one step forward while you were taking an hour to make a decision, or a week to make a decision, or in some cases, a year to make a decision. So, here's some tips that will help you either avoid analysis paralysis, or if you feel like this is something that is just sitting with you, it's a way for you to overcome it so you can show up and show out in your business. So here's tip number 1. I want you to always have a decision deadline. So when we're faced with choices, whether it's about pricing a service or picking a platform, you have to set a time when you're going to make a decision. When we set deadlines, we are helping ourselves become motivated to complete a task. And how are you going to be motivated and inspired if you are stalling on your progress? You can't give yourself greatness if you don't time it to action. So give yourself 24 hours or stretch it out to 3 days or a week. But make a rule. Once the deadline hits, a decision must be made. Which leads me to tip 2. I want you to limit your options. Think about this. When you want to give your children an option, do you give them 10 choices or 2? If you chose 2, you're already with me. So let's do the same for ourselves. I say when we present ourselves with too many options, we are breeding stressful moments. So, for instance, if you're looking for a new email platform, don't go down a rabbit hole researching 15 different tools. I want you to choose 3 based on the type of business that you have. I want you to do a quick comparison of the basics of those and then choose one and move forward. The key is to remember that in a lot of things, we're laboring over decisions that can easily be changed. So don't think too hard sometimes on things that you can easily change. So here's tip number 3. I want you to trust your inner wisdom. You know, we are very smart and we have skills and we are creative. But and this kind of transcends race and ethnicity. This is about womanhood and how many of us have been conditioned in the world. We've kind of been taught to second guess ourselves, right? To make sure we're making the right decision or to constantly think, am I doing the right thing? I don't want to displease somebody or make myself look bad. So we do a lot of research, we ask for a lot of opinions, and we want to play safe. But you know what, sis? You know a lot more than you think you know. And you've got good experience, you've got good instincts, and you've got God given wisdom. So I want you to listen to your gut and I want you to trust yourself. I want you to also remember that perfection is the enemy of progress. Done is better than perfect always. As always, I'm realizing that we can change things if they're not what we need them to be. We can revise them. We can do it over. We can do it better. But the key is to get started. So here's tip 4. I want you to break big decisions or big projects into small ones. So sometimes when we have these big projects we want to work on, they can seem really overwhelming. I want you to break them down. Don't say, how do I launch an entire coaching project? Instead, I want you to brainstorm and say, what's the topic I really need to present? What was going to be the start date? How many sessions am I going to offer? If you answer one small question at a time, your momentum will follow. And here's my last tip. I want you to take imperfect action. And I think this is probably the most important one. And I've touched on it before that done is better. But I want you to start before you feel ready. So I've heard a lot of women say, oh, yeah, I kind of feel like I'm ready to start that business, but I don't know. Maybe I need to do X and Y and Z first. Or you hear somebody wanting to try out a new social media platform and they're like, oh, well, everybody shows up, with their hair done and everything, and mine isn't done, so I won't do it today. Sis, publish that post, send the email, launch that offer that you know you need to launch to get your business going and get some food on the table. I want you to remember that clarity is going to always come through action, not necessarily thinking and not necessarily doing a lot of research. Through action. Think about it like this. You cannot steer a parked car, but if you're moving, even if it is slow, you can always course correct along the way. So, those are my 5 tips. Analysis paralysis is incredibly sneaky, but you have the tools to outsmart it all the way. You were not created to be in this world and stay stuck. You were created to lead, you were created to build, and you were created to thrive. And you were also created to help your community thrive. So the next time you find yourself stuck in your head, I want you to remember it's not about being perfect. It's about being intentional and consistent. Progress over perfection. Done is better than perfect always. If this episode spoke to you, I'd really love for you to share it with another Black mompreneur in your life who might be overthinking her next move, and tell her to just do it. Okay? In the meantime, I want to make sure that you have subscribed to the podcast so you never miss another episode. If you're ready to move forward with your business with confidence, please check us out at forblackmompreneurs.com. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep building, and keep showing up. You've got this, mama. You've got everything you need. Peace.